In the vast and grim expanse of the Warhammer 40K universe, few worlds carry the weight of history, conflict, and tragedy as profoundly as Armageddon. This scarred planet, located in the Segmentum Solar, stands as a testament to the brutal reality of an existence shaped by endless war. For countless millennia, it has been a stage for some of the most devastating battles the galaxy has ever witnessed, a crucible where the fate of empires and ideologies has been forged. Yet, to understand why Armageddon holds such a significant place in the chronicles of the 41st millennium, one must first grasp the essence of the Imperium of man itself, a colossus built on faith, industry, and unyielding resilience. Armageddon is more than just a world. It is a symbol. Its very name evokes images of relentless sieges, towering war machines, and uncountable legions clashing amidst the flames of its industrial hellscapes. It embodies the Imperium's enduring struggle to protect its dominion from those who would see it undone, whether they be Xenos invaders, the heretical forces of chaos, or even the Imperium's own dark past. This planet has become synonymous with war, not through mere chance, but because of the confluence of events, strategic significance, and the iron will of those who seek to control it. But what is it about Armageddon that draws the unending gaze of the galaxy's most powerful and destructive forces? Is it the planet's location, situated along critical warp routes and trade corridors? Is it its vast industrial output, churning out weapons, ammunition, and supplies that sustain entire sectors of the Imperium? Or is it something more enigmatic, a legacy buried deep beneath its surface that whispers secrets only a select few dare to uncover? Whatever the reason, the result is undeniable. Armageddon has become a magnet for war on an apocalyptic scale. For the inhabitants of Armageddon, life is a constant battle for survival. They labor ceaselessly in immense hive cities, their skies choked with ash and smoke, their air thick with the scent of industry. These hive cities, towering spires of humanity's determination and despair, are the heartbeats of the planet, a planet that has seen countless generations born into war, living and dying beneath its blood-red skies. Armageddon's people are no strangers to hardship, for theirs is a world where hope is a fleeting luxury, eclipsed by the ever-present specter of annihilation. This story, however, is not just about the planet's grim existence. It is about the forces that have shaped its destiny, the individuals who have left their indelible marks upon its scorched soil, and the battles that have redefined what it means to fight for survival in a galaxy without mercy. From the towering titans of the Adeptus Mechanicus to the savage hordes of orc war bosses, from the unyielding resolve of Imperial defenders to the shadowy intrigues of those who would see it fall, Armageddon's tale is one of tragedy and triumph, of devastation and defiance. As we delve deeper into the layers of this planet's tumultuous history, we will explore the key players who have fought over its fate, the events that led to its transformation into a perpetual war zone, and the consequences of these conflicts that ripple across the stars. But before we begin, it is vital to remember that in the universe of Warhammer 40K, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. Every war has its secrets, every battle its heroes and villains, and every victory comes at a price. Armageddon is no different. Its story is not merely one of war, but of the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to yield in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, where the light of the Emperor barely flickers, there remains a spark of resistance, a defiance that cannot be extinguished. And so, we begin our journey into the heart of Armageddon, a world where war is eternal and peace is but a fleeting dream. The story of Armageddon is one of constant conflict, and at the heart of this tumultuous saga lie the factions and individuals whose actions have forever shaped the planet's fate. Each of these participants brings their own unique characteristics, motives, and methods to the battles that rage across its surface. Together, they form a mosaic of power, ambition, and survival that defines the endless war over this world. The Imperium of Man stands as the primary force defending Armageddon from those who seek to claim or destroy it. The Astra Militarum, often referred to as the Imperial Guard, forms the backbone of these efforts. Comprised of countless regiments drawn from across the galaxy, these soldiers are the embodiment of human resilience. Armageddon's own Steel Legion is among the most notable of these forces, their ranks filled with warriors hardened by the planet's harsh environment. Their expertise in mechanized warfare has been critical in maintaining the defense of their homeworld, and their tenacity has earned them recognition far beyond the boundaries of their planet. The Adeptus Astartes, the Emperor's Angels of Death, are an indispensable element in the defense of Armageddon. These genetically enhanced super soldiers bring unmatched precision and strength to the battlefield. Multiple Space Marine chapters have taken part in the conflicts over Armageddon, each adding their own martial philosophies and unique tactics to the fray. Among them, some have forged a reputation as stalwart defenders of the Imperium, willing to sacrifice everything to uphold their duty. Equally significant is the Adeptus Mechanicus, whose presence on Armageddon is tied to its vast industrial capacity. This ancient order is tasked with maintaining the technological infrastructure that sustains the Imperium's war effort. Their tech priests, often accompanied by cybernetic warriors and towering war machines, are vital not only for their engineering expertise, but also for their capacity to deploy devastating mechanical power in the form of the Legio Titanicus and other colossal engines of war. On the opposing side, the Orcs are the most infamous aggressors to have plagued Armageddon. These brutal Xenos thrive on conflict, and their massive campaigns have transformed the planet into a battleground of unimaginable scale. The Greenskins are led by powerful warlords whose insatiable hunger for battle drives their endless incursions. Their numbers, sheer ferocity, and unorthodox tactics pose a perpetual threat to the Imperium's hold on Armageddon. Beyond the immediate conflict, other factions have also left their mark. The forces of chaos, always seeking to exploit weakness and sow discord, have cast their shadow over Armageddon at pivotal moments. Whether through direct military intervention or subtle manipulation, their influence complicates an already desperate situation. The ruinous powers have an unyielding appetite for destruction, and their champions relish the opportunity to bring ruin to the Imperium's strongholds. Armageddon's local populace, too, plays an essential role. The civilians and laborers, though not armed warriors, are the lifeblood of the planet's massive industrial complex. Their tireless work ensures that the armies of the Imperium are supplied with the weapons, vehicles, and resources necessary to continue the fight. Despite living under constant threat, they persist, driven by their unwavering faith and the hope that their sacrifices will not be in vain. Additionally, the shadowy agents of the Inquisition often operate behind the scenes, seeking to uncover hidden threats and root out heresy before it can undermine the Imperium's efforts. These individuals, wielding unparalleled authority, ensure that no treachery or corruption is allowed to fester on Armageddon, even if their methods are as ruthless as the enemies they fight. Together, these factions and individuals form a volatile and complex web of alliances and rivalries, each one contributing to the planet's ongoing struggle. As we delve deeper into the events and decisions that have defined Armageddon's fate, these participants will emerge as the key players in a saga that epitomizes the unending war of the 41st millennium. Their roles, while diverse, are united by the singular truth that Armageddon remains a focal point of conflict where the fate of countless lives and the Imperium itself hangs in the balance. The origins of Armageddon's transformation into a perpetual war zone lie in a combination of its strategic location, its immense industrial capacity, and a sequence of galactic events that made it an irresistible target for conflict. To understand why this planet became a stage for endless war, it is necessary to explore the conditions that shaped its role in the Imperium and the chain of circumstances that led to its downfall as a peaceful industrial hub. Armageddon occupies a vital position within the segmentum solar, sitting at the crossroads of several key warp routes. This placement alone ensured that it would always hold strategic importance for the Imperium of Man, as it serves as a gateway to many surrounding sectors. Its location made it not only a hub for trade and logistical operations, but also a critical line of defense for core Imperial territories. However, this same geographical advantage rendered it a prime target for those seeking to disrupt or control these routes, and any threat to Armageddon would ripple across the Imperium's network of supply lines. The planet itself is a bastion of industrial might. Long before the first battles erupted on its surface, Armageddon was already recognized as one of the Imperium's most prolific forge worlds, although it did not fall under the direct jurisdiction of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Instead, its forges, mines, and manufactorums operated under the governance of the planetary administration, producing vast quantities of war material. Hive cities covered much of its surface, serving as centers of both production and population. This combination of manufacturing power and human resources made Armageddon an invaluable asset in maintaining the Imperium's war machine, but it also placed a massive target on the planet for any enemy seeking to cripple the Emperor's realm. Before its rise to infamy as a war-torn planet, Armageddon was no stranger to hardship. The harsh environment, shaped by centuries of industrial exploitation, created a landscape that was already hostile to life. Its skies were often darkened by ash and smoke, and its atmosphere was a cocktail of pollutants that made survival difficult without proper infrastructure. Despite these conditions, the people of Armageddon thrived, building a society centered around their hive cities and the relentless pursuit of production quotas demanded by the Imperium. Yet, this resilience came at a cost, as the strain placed on its resources and workforce would leave the planet vulnerable to the chaos of war. The initial spark for Armageddon's descent into conflict can be traced to larger trends within the galaxy during the later millennia of the Imperium's rule. The Age of Apostasy, a time marked by internal strife and rebellion, weakened the Imperium's grasp on many of its worlds, including those like Armageddon that were vital to its logistical network. Though the planet weathered this era of upheaval, the cracks it revealed in the Imperium's governance and military strength would never fully heal. Additionally, the Imperium's reliance on industrial planets like Armageddon only grew as wars across the galaxy demanded ever greater quantities of weapons and resources, further straining its infrastructure. It was not only the Imperium's internal challenges that placed Armageddon in jeopardy. The galaxy at large became increasingly hostile as xenospecies and other enemies of humanity grew bolder in their incursions. In particular, the Orcs emerged as a persistent threat, their leaders drawn to planets like Armageddon, where they could find both a worthy fight and the promise of loot to fuel their warbands. Over time, the frequency and scale of Orc attacks on the Imperium escalated, creating a situation in which planets of strategic or material value faced near-constant harassment. The seeds of war on Armageddon were sown long before the first major invasion, as the Imperium's enemies took note of the planet's importance. Yet, the Imperium's own policies also played a role in setting the stage for future conflicts. The relentless exploitation of its resources, the militarization of its population, and the deployment of its forces to defend other regions left Armageddon in a precarious position. Its wealth and strategic significance made it a tempting prize, while its reduced ability to defend itself ensured that any serious incursion would have catastrophic consequences. Finally, underlying all these factors is the reality of the galaxy itself. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, war is not an anomaly, but a constant. Planets like Armageddon, which combine critical importance with inherent vulnerabilities, are bound to attract the attention of those seeking power, whether they come from within the Imperium or beyond its borders. The convergence of these elements, a strategically located world with immense industrial potential, a galaxy teeming with conflict, and an Imperium stretched to its limits, created the perfect conditions for Armageddon to become a war zone. This was not the result of a single event, but a long series of developments, each of which pushed the planet closer to the brink. By the time the first great battle erupted on its surface, the fate of Armageddon as a crucible of war had already been sealed. The timeline of Armageddon's transformation into one of the most infamous battlefields in the galaxy is marked by a series of pivotal conflicts and escalating hostilities, each shaping the planet into the war zone it is today. While its industrial importance and strategic location made it a target long before the planet became synonymous with war, it was the succession of large-scale invasions and battles that ultimately defined its fate. The first major event to thrust Armageddon into galactic prominence occurred during what is now remembered as the First War for Armageddon. This conflict arose not merely from external aggression, but from the convergence of forces that sought to exploit the planet's vulnerabilities. This war, although devastating in its own right, served as a grim foreshadowing of the chaos that would engulf the planet in the millennia to come. The defenders of Armageddon, though ultimately victorious, paid a steep price, with entire regions of the planet left scarred and countless lives lost. Years after the First War, Armageddon faced its most infamous test: the Second War for Armageddon. This conflict began with a massive invasion led by one of the most fearsome leaders of the Orcs, whose Wah campaign descended upon the planet with unprecedented ferocity. The Orc invasion was unlike anything Armageddon had faced before, as entire hive cities became battlegrounds and vast plains turned into arenas of mechanized slaughter. This war was marked by fierce resistance from the Imperium's forces, whose coordinated efforts prevented the complete annihilation of the planet's infrastructure. Yet, the cost of this war was staggering, leaving much of Armageddon in ruins. The Third War for Armageddon followed mere decades later, cementing the planet's reputation as a crucible of endless war. By this time, the scars of previous conflicts were still evident, but the planet had been rebuilt enough to once again serve as a key industrial hub for the Imperium. This time, the scale of the invasion dwarfed anything seen before. Orc forces returned in even greater numbers, their crude but effective war machines clashing with the defenders' tanks, aircraft, and fortifications. The fighting was fierce and widespread, with both sides suffering tremendous casualties as they vied for control of critical resources and strategic locations. As the Third War raged on, it became evident that Armageddon was no longer merely a battleground for survival, but a symbol of the Imperium's defiance in the face of insurmountable odds. The war drew in reinforcements from across the galaxy, including some of the most elite warriors of the Imperium. The conflict also attracted the attention of opportunistic forces who sought to exploit the chaos for their own gain. Amid the devastation, the planet's industrial complex continued to churn out the weapons and supplies needed to sustain the war effort, further entrenching its importance to the Imperium. Each phase of the war brought new challenges and horrors to the people of Armageddon. From the opening battles in the desolate wastes to the desperate sieges within the hive cities, the defenders faced wave after wave of relentless attacks. The Orcs' sheer numbers and adaptability forced the defenders to constantly evolve their tactics, while the environmental conditions of the planet itself added yet another layer of difficulty. Toxic storms, unstable terrain, and dwindling resources turned every engagement into a battle, not just against the enemy, but against the planet itself. Even after the official conclusion of the Third War, Armageddon remained far from secure. The remnants of the Orc forces entrenched themselves in various regions, launching sporadic attacks and ensuring that the war never truly ended. These continued skirmishes became known as the War of Attrition, an ongoing struggle that has prevented the Imperium from fully reclaiming the planet. For the people of Armageddon, this state of perpetual conflict became the new normal, as entire generations grew up knowing nothing but war. As the galaxy continued to descend into greater chaos, the conflicts on Armageddon became emblematic of the Imperium's broader struggle for survival. The timeline of events on the planet reflects not just the specific circumstances of its wars, but also the larger forces at play in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. The battles of Armageddon serve as a microcosm of the unending war that defines the galaxy, a reminder that peace is fleeting, and that victory, even when achieved, often comes at an unimaginable cost. The timeline of Armageddon's wars is far from complete, as the planet's fate remains entwined with the endless cycle of conflict that consumes the galaxy. The turning point in the history of Armageddon as a war zone revolves around a single monumental decision: the planet's designation as an unyielding bulwark of the Imperium, no matter the cost. This critical choice was not merely a tactical response to an immediate threat, but a broader strategic shift that reshaped Armageddon's role in the Imperium. It transformed the planet from an industrial hub into an entrenched battlefield where survival of the Imperium's ideals would take precedence over the lives of its inhabitants and the preservation of its lands. The catalyst for this decision was the realization that Armageddon could not be abandoned without incurring devastating consequences for the Imperium as a whole. As a nexus of trade, production, and strategic warp routes, its fall would not merely signify the loss of one planet, but would destabilize entire sectors. The defenders of Armageddon, from planetary governors to Imperial military command, faced an impossible choice: attempt to evacuate and abandon the world to its attackers, or commit fully to its defense, no matter the sacrifices required. The latter path was chosen, solidifying Armageddon's fate as a planet where war would be waged without compromise. This choice was codified during the early stages of the Second War for Armageddon, when the scale and ferocity of the Orc invasion made it clear that the planet's defenses alone could not repel the attackers. The High Lords of Terra, understanding the strategic importance of Armageddon, decreed that reinforcements from across the Imperium would be diverted to the planet. Entire regiments of the Astra Militarum, detachments from various Space Marine chapters, and even assets of the Adeptus Mechanicus were mobilized. This unprecedented level of commitment sent a clear message: Armageddon would not fall, regardless of the resources and lives that would need to be expended. The consequences of this decision were immediate and profound. The influx of reinforcements transformed Armageddon into a massive war theater, with military assets from across the galaxy converging on the planet. However, this commitment also came at a cost. Resources and troops that could have been deployed elsewhere were redirected to Armageddon, leaving other parts of the Imperium vulnerable. The decision to prioritize Armageddon above other contested worlds was not without controversy, as it exposed the Imperium's broader strategic vulnerabilities and led to resentment among commanders fighting on less supported fronts. On Armageddon itself, the decision to fight at all costs reshaped the lives of its people. The planetary governor issued mandates that every able-bodied individual contribute to the war effort, either through direct military service or labor in the forges and factories. Hive cities became fortresses, their civilian populations pressed into roles as defenders or support workers. The scale of industrial production shifted entirely toward the war, with every manufactorum dedicated to the creation of weapons, vehicles, and munitions. This total war approach ensured that the defenders could sustain the prolonged conflict, but it also transformed the planet into a place where life revolved entirely around survival and warfare. Another key aspect of this turning point was the establishment of Armageddon as a symbolic stronghold of Imperial resilience. Propaganda spread throughout the Imperium, framing the defense of Armageddon as a holy duty and a testament to humanity's determination to endure in the face of annihilation. This narrative inspired countless reinforcements to rally to the planet's defense, but it also placed an immense burden on the people of Armageddon. They were no longer just inhabitants of an industrial world. They were now part of a larger narrative of Imperial survival, their suffering seen as a necessary sacrifice for the greater good. The impact of this decision extended beyond the immediate conflicts on Armageddon. By choosing to hold the planet at all costs, the Imperium set a precedent for how it would respond to other strategic threats. Armageddon became a proving ground for new tactics, technologies, and doctrines, many of which would later be employed elsewhere in the galaxy. It also became a rallying cry for the Imperium, a reminder of what could be achieved through unwavering commitment and sacrifice. However, this turning point also ensured that Armageddon would never return to its former state. The decision to transform the planet into a fortress and war zone left permanent scars on its environment, infrastructure, and population. Entire regions were rendered uninhabitable, and the constant influx of military forces created a volatile mix of conflicting interests and agendas. While the decision to hold Armageddon was necessary from a strategic perspective, it condemned the planet and its people to an existence defined by war, a reality from which they could never escape. This key decision to defend Armageddon at all costs set the stage for every subsequent conflict on the planet, cementing its legacy as one of the most significant and tragic battlegrounds in the history of the Imperium. The ramifications of this choice continue to resonate, shaping not only the future of Armageddon, but also the broader fate of the galaxy in the unending war of the 41st millennium. The wars fought on Armageddon have left an indelible mark on the wider galaxy, shaping not only the fate of the planet itself, but also the Imperium's strategies, priorities, and relationships across its vast expanse. The ripple effects of the conflicts on Armageddon extend far beyond the segmentum solar, influencing the political, military, and cultural aspects of the Imperium and the galaxy as a whole. One of the most immediate and significant impacts has been the strain placed on the Imperium's resources. The commitment to defending Armageddon has required the redirection of vast quantities of manpower, weaponry, and logistical support from other theaters of war. Entire sectors have experienced weakened defenses as regiments of the Astra Militarum and fleets of the Imperial Navy were diverted to support the planet. This redistribution of resources has left numerous other worlds vulnerable to attacks, whether from Xenos incursions, chaos uprisings, or insurrection within the Imperium itself. The cost of defending Armageddon has, in many ways, been borne by countless other planets, many of which fell into ruin due to the absence of reinforcements that were instead sent to the ongoing war. Another profound consequence is the influence the Armageddon conflicts have had on Imperial military doctrine. The battles fought on the planet have served as a proving ground for new tactics, strategies, and weaponry, leading to significant changes in how the Imperium approaches large-scale planetary defense. The use of hive cities as fortified strongpoints, the integration of mechanized infantry in urban warfare, and the deployment of Titan-class war machines in prolonged campaigns all owe their refinement and prominence to the lessons learned on Armageddon. These doctrines have been applied in countless other conflicts across the galaxy, making Armageddon not only a battlefield, but also a crucible for the evolution of Imperial warfare. The psychological impact of the wars on Armageddon has also been immense. For the defenders of the Imperium, the planet has become a symbol of resilience and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. Propaganda surrounding the heroism of its defenders and the unyielding strength of its population has inspired countless citizens and soldiers across the galaxy. Recruitment drives often invoke the imagery of Armageddon to galvanize support, framing its defense as a testament to the Emperor's guidance and humanity's unbreakable will. However, this narrative has come at a cost, as the people of Armageddon themselves have been reduced to symbols, their suffering romanticized for the sake of morale across the Imperium. The conflicts on Armageddon have also reshaped relationships between the various factions and organizations within the Imperium. The Adeptus Mechanicus, with its critical role in maintaining the planet's industrial infrastructure, has strengthened its influence in the region, leveraging its contributions to the war effort as a means to secure greater autonomy and privileges. Similarly, the Inquisition has increased its presence on Armageddon, using the planet's strategic importance as justification for expanded oversight and intervention. These shifts in power dynamics have introduced new tensions, as local authorities and military commanders must navigate the competing interests of these powerful organizations while managing the ongoing defense of the planet. For the Orcs, the wars on Armageddon have become a focal point of their eternal quest for battle and conquest. The planet's status as a site of perpetual war has made it a magnet for orc warbands from across the galaxy, each drawn by the promise of combat on an epic scale. This has led to the growth and evolution of orc tactics and technologies as they adapt to the challenges posed by the planet's defenders. The conflicts on Armageddon have, in turn, influenced orc culture, with tales of the battles becoming legendary among their kind and inspiring further incursions into Imperial space. The impact of the Armageddon Wars is not limited to the material and tactical realms. It also has a profound spiritual dimension. The Ecclesiarchy, ever eager to frame the Imperium's struggles in religious terms, has declared Armageddon a holy battlefield, a place where the Emperor's will is manifest in the bravery of its defenders. Pilgrimages to the planet, though dangerous and discouraged by military authorities, have become a phenomenon, with devout followers seeking to witness the sight of humanity's endurance firsthand. This spiritualization of Armageddon's wars has further entrenched its status as a symbol within the Imperium, ensuring that its significance extends far beyond its physical boundaries. Finally, the wars on Armageddon have altered the trajectory of countless lives across the galaxy. For the billions of soldiers, workers, and civilians who have been drawn into its conflicts, the experience of war on such an immense scale has left lasting scars. Veterans who survived their service on Armageddon often return to their homeworlds as heroes, their stories of survival and sacrifice inspiring awe and reverence. Yet, many are also haunted by the horrors they witnessed, carrying the psychological burden of a war that seems to have no end. The displacement of refugees, the loss of entire generations to the war effort, and the environmental devastation of the planet all contribute to the broader human cost of the Armageddon conflicts, a cost that reverberates across the Imperium. In the wider galaxy, Armageddon stands as both a warning and a testament. It serves as a stark reminder of the Imperium's fragility, the constant threat posed by its enemies, and the price of survival in a universe defined by unending war. Yet, it also represents humanity's determination to endure, even when the odds seem insurmountable. The effects of the wars on Armageddon will continue to shape the Imperium and its people, ensuring that the planet's legacy endures in both history and myth. Armageddon's wars are defined not just by their scale, but by the unique technologies, strategies, and environmental conditions that have shaped the battles on this devastated world. These aspects make Armageddon a subject of fascination among Warhammer 40K fans as they reflect the complexity and ingenuity of the factions involved while highlighting the brutal realities of warfare in the grim darkness of the galaxy. One of the most discussed topics is the planet's industrial environment and its role in shaping the conflicts. Armageddon's hive cities and manufactorums are colossal, sprawling structures that dominate the landscape. These massive urban centers, designed to produce endless streams of weapons and supplies, have also become some of the deadliest battlefields in the galaxy. Combat within these hives is a unique challenge for both attackers and defenders, with narrow corridors, vertical choke points, and labyrinthine layouts turning every engagement into a brutal, close-quarters slog. The hive cities themselves are often described as living fortresses, where each level, substructure, and ventilation shaft becomes a potential stronghold or ambush site. The toxic environment of Armageddon is another factor that has shaped its wars in distinctive ways. The planet's atmosphere, saturated with pollutants and ash, presents constant challenges for both human and orc forces. Breathing apparatuses and environmental seals are standard equipment for soldiers operating on Armageddon, as prolonged exposure to the atmosphere can cause severe health issues. The landscape, riddled with chemical wastelands and rivers of industrial runoff, also presents unique hazards. Tactical decisions often hinge on the ability to navigate or exploit these toxic regions, with some battles fought over access to relatively cleaner areas or vital filtration facilities. One of the most iconic aspects of the wars on Armageddon is the widespread use of mechanized warfare. The planet's geography, with its vast ash plains and industrial roads, is particularly suited to large-scale armored engagements. This has led to the deployment of massive tank regiments, such as the famed Steel Legion, whose mechanized infantry and armored divisions have become synonymous with the defense of Armageddon. These battles are often characterized by the thunderous roar of engines, the relentless advance of tank columns, and the sheer destructive power of mobile artillery. Among fans, the tank battles of Armageddon are often celebrated as some of the most iconic moments in the planet's history, showcasing the full might of Imperial armored warfare. The presence of Titans, colossal war machines of the Adeptus Mechanicus, is another element that sets the wars on Armageddon apart. The planet has seen some of the largest and most destructive Titan engagements in the galaxy, with the towering god machines of the Legio Metallica playing a crucial role in many battles. These massive constructs, armed with devastating weaponry and protected by void shields, are symbols of the Imperium's technological might. Fans often discuss the awe-inspiring spectacle of Titans striding across the battlefield, their weapons leveling entire city blocks in a single salvo. The sight of these mechanical behemoths locked in combat with Orc Gargants, the equally massive war engines of the Greenskins, is a defining image of the wars on Armageddon. The Orcs themselves bring their own unique flavor to the conflicts on Armageddon. Their propensity for scavenging and repurposing Imperial technology has led to the creation of bizarre, ramshackle war machines that defy conventional logic yet function with brutal effectiveness. The Orc WAG that descended on Armageddon is remembered for its sheer inventiveness, with everything from looted tanks to improvised aircraft being thrown into the fray. This chaotic and unpredictable approach to warfare has forced Imperial forces to adapt constantly, as the Orcs' ability to innovate on the battlefield often turns seemingly straightforward engagements into unexpected challenges. Another distinctive aspect of Armageddon's conflicts is the strategic importance of its supply lines. Unlike many other war zones, Armageddon's ability to produce its own war material has made it a self-sustaining theater of war. The planet's manufactorums churn out everything from lasguns to tanks, providing a steady stream of supplies to the defenders. However, this also makes the manufactorums key targets for the Orcs, who understand that crippling the planet's production capacity would severely weaken the Imperium's ability to fight. The battles for these industrial centers are among the most desperate and brutal, as both sides recognize their strategic importance. The planetary terrain also offers unique opportunities for both sides to exploit. Armageddon's ash wastes and chemical plains are not just obstacles but also tools of war. The Imperium has been known to use the planet's harsh environment to their advantage, deploying ambushes and traps that exploit the Orcs' lack of concern for environmental hazards. Conversely, the Orcs, with their innate resilience and ability to thrive in hostile conditions, often use the terrain to outmaneuver Imperial forces, launching unexpected assaults from regions considered impassable. Lastly, the long-lasting presence of war on Armageddon has created a unique culture among its defenders. The planet's inhabitants, hardened by generations of conflict, have developed a deep-seated resilience and a pragmatic approach to survival. This culture is reflected in the Steel Legion, whose soldiers are renowned for their discipline, expertise in mechanized warfare, and unwavering commitment to defending their homeworld. Among fans, the Steel Legion is often cited as one of the most iconic regiments of the Astra Militarum, embodying the spirit of Armageddon's defenders and their unyielding defiance in the face of endless war. These unique aspects of Armageddon's wars, the Hive City battles, toxic environment, mechanized warfare, Titan engagements, Orc ingenuity, and the planet's self-sustaining war economy, combine to create a setting unlike any other in the Warhammer 40K universe. They not only highlight the distinctiveness of Armageddon as a battleground, but also provide a rich tapestry of elements that continue to captivate fans and fuel the ongoing discussion about this iconic planet. The wars on Armageddon have been shaped and defined by individuals whose actions, decisions, and leadership left a lasting impact on the planet's history. These figures, both heroic and infamous, represent the diverse forces involved in the planet's conflicts. Their qualities, motivations, and weaknesses reflect the complexity of the unending war that rages on Armageddon. One of the most celebrated figures tied to Armageddon's defense is Commander Yarrick, a symbol of unyielding determination and tactical brilliance. Known for his iron will and ability to inspire those under his command, Yarrick became a legendary figure during the Second and Third Wars for Armageddon. His strong leadership and deep understanding of Orc psychology allowed him to anticipate and counter many of their unpredictable strategies. Despite his advanced age and the injuries he sustained during his campaigns, including the loss of an arm later replaced by a powerful mechanical prosthetic, Yarrick's resilience became a beacon of hope for the Imperium's forces. His ability to unite disparate regiments and maintain morale in the face of overwhelming odds remains one of his greatest strengths. However, his personal drive to defeat the Orcs, particularly his fixation on one specific warlord, has at times led to controversial decisions, prioritizing vengeance over broader strategic goals. From the ranks of the Adeptus Mechanicus, Magos Arcanos is a figure of particular significance. Tasked with maintaining Armageddon's immense manufactorums during the wars, Arcanos displayed a level of resourcefulness and ingenuity that ensured the planet's industrial output continued even under siege. His unwavering focus on efficiency and production made him invaluable to the war effort. However, his obsession with optimization often came at the expense of human lives, as he viewed the workforce as little more than another resource to be managed. This lack of empathy made him a divisive figure among the planet's defenders, respected for his contributions but mistrusted for his cold pragmatism. Among the Orcs, the infamous Gazkul Thraka is a towering presence in the wars for Armageddon. A charismatic and cunning warlord, Gazkul is far from the brutish stereotype often associated with his kind. His ability to unite disparate Orc tribes into a cohesive and unstoppable Wah has made him one of the most dangerous threats the Imperium has ever faced. Gazkul's strength lies not only in his martial prowess, but in his strategic acumen, as he understands how to leverage the Orcs' natural tendencies for destruction into coordinated assaults. His weakness, however, lies in his overconfidence and occasional underestimation of his enemies, which has allowed Imperial forces to exploit gaps in his plans. High Marshal Helbrecht of the Black Templars is another key figure in the wars on Armageddon. Known for his uncompromising faith and martial zeal, Helbrecht has been instrumental in leading the Black Templars' contributions to the planet's defense. His relentless pursuit of the Orcs and his unshakable belief in the Emperor's divine will make him a fearsome warrior and an inspiring leader. However, Helbrecht's inflexible nature and disdain for compromise have occasionally caused friction with other Imperial commanders, particularly those who favor more pragmatic or unconventional approaches to warfare. On the civilian side, Governor Hermann von Straub, who presided over Armageddon during the early stages of the Second War, is a figure often remembered with mixed emotions. Von Straub was a man of privilege and arrogance, whose initial attempts to manage the Orc invasion were marked by indecision and self-preservation. His failure to prepare the planet adequately for the scale of the assault led to devastating losses in the early phases of the conflict. Yet, his shortcomings also highlighted the resilience of the people of Armageddon, who rallied under stronger leadership when von Straub was sidelined by Imperial authorities. Within the Astra Militarum, General Kurov is a name often mentioned in discussions of Armageddon's defense. Known for his meticulous planning and unflinching dedication to the war effort, Kurov was instrumental in coordinating the disparate elements of the Imperial Guard during the Third War. His ability to maintain cohesion among regiments from vastly different cultures and backgrounds is regarded as one of his greatest strengths. However, Kurov's rigid adherence to hierarchy and protocol sometimes slowed his decision-making, as he prioritized chain of command over adaptability in rapidly changing battlefield conditions. Finally, the enigmatic Commissar Falcon, whose efforts were critical in maintaining morale during the most desperate moments of the wars, remains a figure of intrigue. Falcon's approach to discipline and motivation set him apart from many of his peers. Rather than relying solely on fear and punishment, he combined the traditional methods of commissars with a deep understanding of human psychology, using speeches, acts of personal bravery, and symbolic gestures to inspire the troops under his command. His unorthodox methods often drew scrutiny from higher authorities, but they proved effective in maintaining cohesion among battered regiments. These individuals, each with their own strengths, flaws, and motivations, have left an undeniable mark on the history of Armageddon. Their actions and decisions highlight the diversity of characters involved in the planet's wars, showcasing the range of qualities required to endure and influence a conflict of such immense scale. Whether revered as heroes or remembered for their failures, they stand as testaments to the complexities of war and the roles individuals play in shaping the fate of a world. The wars on Armageddon have left behind a legacy not only of devastation, but also of unanswered questions and unresolved mysteries that continue to captivate historians, scholars, and fans alike. These enigmas range from the origins of certain events to the deeper implications of Armageddon's repeated conflicts, sparking debates and fueling speculation across the Warhammer 40K community. One of the most hotly debated mysteries revolves around the deeper significance of Armageddon's location and history. While its strategic importance as a nexus of warp routes and an industrial powerhouse is clear, some believe there may be more hidden beneath the planet's surface. Ancient records and fragmented data hint at a possible connection to the Dark Age of technology, with rumors that Armageddon may once have been a far more advanced world before its incorporation into the Imperium. Some even suggest that relics or forgotten technologies from this era might lie buried beneath its polluted landscape, guarded or hidden by those who fear the consequences of their rediscovery. These theories are further fueled by the secrecy of certain Adeptus Mechanicus operations on the planet, raising questions about what the tech priests may have uncovered or concealed over the centuries. Another enduring question centers on the persistence and intensity of the Orc invasions. While Orcs are known for their love of battle and destruction, the scale and frequency of their assaults on Armageddon have led some to theorize that there may be an underlying reason for their obsession with the planet. Some speculate that Armageddon holds particular significance for the Orcs, perhaps tied to a legend or cultural belief within their society. Others argue that the planet's unique environment, with its abundance of industrial materials and opportunities for large-scale conflict, makes it an irresistible target for a species that thrives on scavenging and warfare. Despite countless battles, the true motives behind the Orcs' fixation remain unclear, leaving room for endless speculation. The role of certain Imperial factions on Armageddon also raises unanswered questions. The Inquisition, for example, has maintained a significant presence on the planet throughout its conflicts, often operating with a level of secrecy that has sparked suspicion among other Imperial forces. Some believe that the Inquisition's interest in Armageddon goes beyond the obvious need to root out heresy and maintain order during wartime. Rumors persist that certain Inquisitors may be investigating or even suppressing knowledge of ancient secrets tied to the planet. Whether these secrets pertain to hidden dangers, forbidden technology, or even ancient enemies of the Imperium is a matter of ongoing debate. One of the most controversial theories involves the possible influence of chaos on the events surrounding Armageddon. While the Orc invasions are well documented, some observers have noted strange coincidences and unexplained phenomena that suggest a deeper, more insidious force at work. Could the repeated conflicts on Armageddon be part of a larger plan orchestrated by the Dark Gods? Some believe that the unrelenting violence and suffering on the planet might be feeding chaos in ways not immediately apparent, making it a site of particular interest to the ruinous powers. Others dismiss these claims as paranoia, arguing that the wars are simply the natural result of the planet's strategic and industrial importance. Another unresolved question concerns the long-term viability of Armageddon itself. After centuries of conflict and environmental degradation, some wonder whether the planet can continue to sustain life, let alone its vital industrial operations. The constant battles have left vast swaths of the planet uninhabitable, and the toll on its population has been immense. While the Imperium has shown remarkable resilience in maintaining control and productivity on Armageddon, there are those who question whether this can last indefinitely. Some even speculate that the Imperium might one day abandon the planet, either due to its declining value or because the cost of defending it becomes too great. Among the civilian population, rumors and superstitions abound regarding the true nature of the planet's conflicts. Stories of strange sightings in the ash wastes, whispers of ancient machines stirring beneath the hive cities, and unexplained disappearances during the chaos of battle have all contributed to an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. These tales are often dismissed by military authorities as the product of stress and imagination, but their persistence suggests that there may be more to these accounts than mere rumor. What truths, if any, lie behind these stories remains unknown, but they add another layer of intrigue to the already complex narrative of Armageddon. The involvement of Xenos factions beyond the Orcs also remains a topic of speculation. While the Orcs are the primary aggressors, some theorize that other alien forces may have taken an interest in the planet. The presence of such a critical world in a volatile region of the galaxy makes it a potential target for a wide array of enemies, from opportunistic raiders to larger, more organized threats. Whether such forces have already acted in secret or are simply waiting for the right moment to strike is a question that looms over Armageddon's uncertain future. Finally, the broader implications of Armageddon's wars for the Imperium as a whole remain a subject of intense discussion. The sheer scale of the conflicts, the resources expended, and the lives lost raise questions about the sustainability of the Imperium's approach to warfare. Some argue that the planet's repeated defense represents the Imperium's greatest strength, its unyielding determination and ability to mobilize vast forces in the face of adversity. Others, however, see it as a symbol of the Imperium's inherent weaknesses, its inability to address root causes of conflict or adapt to a galaxy in constant flux. These debates are unlikely to be resolved, but they highlight the complex and often contradictory nature of the Imperium itself. These mysteries and questions ensure that Armageddon remains a subject of fascination and debate, both within the Warhammer 40K universe and among its fans. The unresolved nature of these issues invites speculation and interpretation, adding depth and complexity to a setting already rich with history and conflict. Whether any of these questions will ever be answered remains uncertain, but they continue to fuel the enduring intrigue surrounding this war-torn world. The long-term consequences of the wars on Armageddon extend far beyond the immediate aftermath of each conflict, casting a shadow over the Imperium and the galaxy as a whole. As the planet remains locked in its state of perpetual warfare, the implications for its future and the broader fate of humanity grow increasingly significant. The cumulative impact of these conflicts is shaping both the strategic realities of the Imperium and the psychological and cultural dimensions of its people. One of the most pressing long-term concerns is the continued sustainability of Armageddon as a functional asset for the Imperium. The wars have taken a severe toll on the planet's infrastructure and environment, leaving entire regions uninhabitable and vast tracts of industrial land irreparably damaged. While the Adeptus Mechanicus and local authorities have been adept at maintaining production levels despite these challenges, the strain on the planet's resources and population cannot be ignored. If the cycle of conflict continues unabated, there is a real possibility that Armageddon will reach a tipping point where it can no longer sustain its massive industrial output. This would have a ripple effect across the Segmentum Solar and beyond, as the loss of such a critical manufacturing hub would weaken the Imperium's ability to supply its armies and fleets in other war zones. The environmental degradation caused by centuries of warfare also raises questions about the planet's long-term habitability. The toxic atmosphere, polluted waterways, and barren landscapes are the result of both industrial exploitation and the devastation wrought by relentless battles. While the Imperium has shown a remarkable capacity to adapt to harsh conditions, the ecological collapse of Armageddon poses a significant challenge. The question remains whether the Imperium will invest in efforts to stabilize the planet's environment or continue to exploit it until it is entirely unsalvageable. This decision will have far-reaching implications for the billions who live and work on Armageddon, as well as for the wider war effort. Beyond the physical state of the planet, the ongoing wars on Armageddon have profound psychological and cultural consequences for the Imperium. For the people of Armageddon, the experience of living in a perpetual war zone has created a unique and hardened population, deeply loyal to the Imperium, yet profoundly shaped by the brutality of their existence. This cultural resilience is both a strength and a potential vulnerability. While the people of Armageddon are among the most resourceful and tenacious in the galaxy, the constant exposure to war has also left many traumatized and desensitized to violence. Over generations, this could result in a population increasingly disconnected from the broader Imperium, focused solely on their survival and defense. For the Imperium as a whole, Armageddon serves as both a symbol of resilience and a stark reminder of its vulnerabilities. The planet's survival through repeated conflicts has been celebrated in Imperial propaganda, reinforcing the narrative of humanity's unyielding strength. However, this same focus on Armageddon also highlights the Imperium's strategic fragility. The vast resources and manpower required to defend the planet have exposed weaknesses in the Imperium's ability to respond to multiple threats simultaneously. If the Imperium continues to prioritize Armageddon at the expense of other regions, it risks overextending itself and leaving critical systems vulnerable to invasion or rebellion. The repeated wars on Armageddon have also shaped the tactics and strategies of the Imperium's military forces. Lessons learned from the battles on the planet have been applied to conflicts across the galaxy, leading to innovations in mechanized warfare, urban combat, and the use of Titans and other massive war machines. However, this focus on large-scale, high-intensity engagements could also create challenges for the Imperium as it faces increasingly diverse threats. By emphasizing strategies tailored to the unique conditions of Armageddon, the Imperium risks neglecting the flexibility needed to adapt to other types of warfare, such as guerrilla tactics or naval engagements. In the broader galactic context, the wars on Armageddon may also have long-term implications for humanity's relations with other factions. The Orcs, emboldened by their repeated campaigns on the planet, have developed new tactics and technologies that could be deployed against other Imperial worlds. The success of the Orcs in maintaining pressure on Armageddon has also inspired other Xeno species and renegade forces, demonstrating that even the most fortified Imperial planets can be drawn into prolonged conflicts. This perception of vulnerability may embolden further incursions into Imperial territory, compounding the challenges faced by humanity. Finally, the spiritual significance of Armageddon within the Imperium cannot be overlooked. The planet has been elevated to the status of a holy site, a place where humanity's endurance is seen as a manifestation of the Emperor's will. This religious narrative has provided hope and inspiration to countless Imperial citizens, but it also creates expectations that Armageddon must never fall. This symbolic importance places immense pressure on the defenders of the planet and ensures that the Imperium will continue to pour resources into its defense, regardless of the cost. In the long term, this unwavering commitment could become a liability, as the Imperium struggles to balance its devotion to Armageddon with the practical realities of galactic warfare. Looking ahead, the future of Armageddon remains uncertain. If the Imperium can find a way to break the cycle of conflict and stabilize the planet, it could serve as a model for the recovery of other war-torn worlds. However, if the wars continue to escalate, Armageddon may become a cautionary tale of what happens when a planet is pushed beyond its limits. Whether the planet's legacy will ultimately be one of resilience or ruin will depend on the actions of those who continue to fight over its scarred surface. The significance of Armageddon as a battleground will endure, shaping the galaxy's future in ways that are yet to be fully understood.